Iain MacDonald is the digital content editor for The People's Friend. The world's longest-running women's magazine, The People's Friend is the UK's largest publisher of magazine fiction, and its stories are enjoyed not just in the UK, but by readers across the globe.
So Remembrance Day is coming up, and there has been a story kicking around in my family for a number of years about a great-great-uncle of mine who died during World War I. So my family has managed to preserve a lot of the letters and postcards sent back while he was training in various places around the UK, and then also while he was serving in France. Working for The People's Friend has given me a real understanding of how important it is to know your family story and to find out your family story. And Findmypast, the ancestry service, they advise you that that's the place to start if you want to start looking into your family's ancestry. Find out as much detail as you can, as much personal detail as you can, and they can use that to find out all about service histories and things that you might not have gathered yourself.
DC Thompson's Meadowside office in Dundee is also home to Findmypast. Regional Licensing and Outreach Manager Miko Cleland explains some of the resources Findmypast can draw upon to help Iain learn more about his ancestor.
As one of the leading family history websites, Findmypast has access to billions of records at your fingertips that can really tell more of a family history story. We have partnerships with organisations and repositories such as the National Archives in London, the British Library, and many different regimental organisations and museums, including the Scots Guards, the Royal Artillery, and many more, that really help to go further and bring exclusive records scanned for the first time from original paper to be able to be searched at the touch of a button, type in a name, a date, a place, a service number, and get the story behind the little bit of information you have to begin with.
So Iain did just that, entering what information he had about his ancestor into the Findmypast website. We brought Iain and Miko together to explore what Findmypast had unearthed.
When looking for service records from the First World War, it's important to note that only around about 40% of the total survive due to an incendiary bomb attack in World War II. So the ones that do survive tend to be fairly damaged. They can have scorch marks, waterlogs as they have been pulled from the fire, and we only have what survives to look at. Your ancestor's record unfortunately didn't survive that attack. However, through a partnership with the Scots Guards, we've been able to bring you another copy of this record, and this shows you an unprecedented amount of detail in relation to your ancestor. So we've taken the information from that service record, and we've managed to acquire a copy of the battalion's war diary, so we can see exactly what your ancestor was doing on the day they were killed, and maybe find out a little bit more about the circumstances of their death. We see here on the 15th of September 1916 an exact account of that day.
So here it says the commanding officer and adjutant were hit almost immediately, and Captain Thorpe and Lieutenant Chapman were killed during an attack. I can't read that.
Counterattack.
A counterattack on the company.
Captain Maitland and Lieutenant Dawkins, Murdoch and Woodhouse were wounded. Lieutenant Dawkins and Murdoch died of wounds 4 days later. Lieutenant Boyd was then left in command of the battalion.
So this would have been the soldiers that my ancestor was serving with at the time when he lost his life.
Although enlisted soldiers weren't mentioned in a diary like this, by the sheer amount of casualties in the officer ranks, we can tell this probably was quite a devastating attack and counterattack, and we can be sure that this was the circumstances of your own ancestor's death.
And this wouldn't have necessarily been information that was shared with the family at the time.
This certainly wouldn't be. This was considered fairly secret, and only now, in the modern day, can we look back and get this extra information.
Just like Iain, we all have stories in our family history just waiting to be uncovered. In honour of Remembrance Sunday, Findmypast is offering free access to their records across the Remembrance weekend. There's no better way of commemorating the incredible sacrifices made by our ancestors than by telling their stories. And with access to millions of Army, Navy, and Air Force service records, medal index cards, casualty lists, POW records and more, Findmypast has all the tools needed to paint a detailed picture of your ancestors' military career. To try Findmypast for yourself, head to findmypast.co.uk. The People's Friend is on sale every week in all good supermarkets. Head to the People's Friend website to find out more. And for more military stories, Commando releases 4 comic stories every 2 weeks covering conflicts from across the globe. Head to the Commando website to find out more.